Hey everybody, Rich Lovell with the Vacaville Baseball Barn, Master Instructor with Epstein Hitting System and Online Hitting Academy. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button and don't forget to click the notifications button in order to receive future videos. I want to continue with something I've talked about a little bit before, and this is something that came up in a lesson that I was doing with a player, the dad who was a coach. Started talking about hips, firing the hips, and it occurred to me, are the hips overrated? And personally, I think they are. Are they a vital part of the swing? Sure. But do they do everything in the swing? No. The hips aren't the only thing that generate power. So let's think about that for a second. If I'm saying that the hips are overrated, what exactly do I mean by that? Here's what I mean. If I have a player and they don't really have a lot of power, and all they're being told is drive the hips, fire the hips, drive the hips, there may be 3, 4, 5 other things in their swing that they're doing that's really taken away from their power, and maybe their back hip gets all the way through, and maybe their foot drags through a little bit or pulls through as the knee gets through. Maybe that's all fine. I had a player in recently that back leg really good. You know, wasn't perfect, but by the time that he got here, his knee was bent at a great angle, the heel was almost straight up in the air, and the knee pulled forward. But his front knee here was bent, and he was up on his toe like this. Holy smokes, building no ground force. And as I went back and reviewed the swing even further back, in the beginning, he had really no torque because everything started spinning. He separated, he cast it out a little bit, and then everything turned at the same, and he kind of brought the bat in here, and then he got out here in his arms, and then he finished his swing right here. So it wasn't so much the hips, and that's a lot of the things that he was being told to do. Hey, fire those hips. That'll get everything through. Not necessarily the case. We still have to think the sequence of the swing. You know, our front foot's got to get down with our hands staying back. Our hips need to still be somewhat closed with our chest more towards the back side of the plate. And as our hips begin to turn, our front foot begins to push more into the ground. And then we just continue through with the swing and put everything together. So if all I'm doing is telling a player, fire the hips, fire their hips, and their hands are out of sequence, their upper body is out of sequence, and it's turning maybe slightly before the hips or with the hips at the same time, then we have a major issue. We need to go back and address sequencing. We need to go address how he disconnects from his body. So don't always focus in on the hips. That is not the beginning and end of the swing. It's so many other facets and parts of the swing. That's what you're focusing on. Maybe you need to reevaluate that and maybe look at that in a different light and start thinking sequence and then put everything together from there. Hope that helps you out. If you have any questions, send me a comment. If you have any ideas for videos you want to see, be more than happy to facilitate that. And don't forget, hit the notifications button and then check out our Facebook feed for upcoming events.